What's crack-a-lackin', my magical little dudicorns? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into some r/ChoosingBeggars. But that's not all. I've got two stories from the r/Reddit fairy subreddit that are, I believe, r/entitled people. So stick around for that. And without further ado, smash that subscribe button, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. My special encounter at work, posted by user Tycho Tuesday. Okay, so first, a bit of backstory. I work at Nintendo, customer service or support or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, this means that I answer phone calls and emails daily. As you can imagine, I get some weird ones, and a lot of them are choosing beggars. But this one, in particular, is worse than usual. You should also note that I am indeed female, which brings a whole lot of new problems to the table. People tend to be condescending to women when it comes to video games. Here's the cast: Choosing Beggar, Coworker, and me. Duh. The day went like usual when I got this phone call. Thank you for calling Nintendo. My name is blank. How may I help you today? Hello, I would like a refund. I'm sorry, sir, but we have a no refund policy here at Nintendo. On hardware too? Yes, unfortunately. I don't believe it. I'm sorry, sir. Could you clarify that? You can't not give me a refund. Just give me my $4,300 back and I'll be gone. $4,300? Sir, we don't even have prices that high. Yeah, you do. Some Nintendo employee sold me a Wii U for $4,300 because they said it was rare. I'm afraid you've been scammed by that person, sir. We can't do anything about that. You could try to inform your local police. But didn't you make the console? Look, I know how this works. You can't fool me. Okay, so now I'm getting a bit pissed. Look, we can't do anything for you. Fine, I'll go to $4,000 if you can transfer it today. This isn't negotiable. If you get me someone real on the phone, I assure you they'll agree with me. And what do you mean by someone real? A man, sweetheart. Someone who knows something about video games and consoles. Do you guys ever have that feeling? That feeling where you don't want to continue this argument, but you're so right? Also, we aren't allowed to hang up without reasoning. Keep that in mind. So, I get a bright idea. Okay, sir. I'll transfer you to my coworker. Thank you. I transfer this man to my coworker, and I walk over to him, telling him the story, before he picks up the phone, obviously. Don't worry, I've got this. Thank you for calling Nintendo. My name is Coworker. How may I help you today? Yes, I was transferred by your coworker. She refused to help me. I would report her if I was you. I see. So, sir, what can I help you with? I was looking for a refund. And why is that? Your coworker scammed me out of $4,300. That's certainly strange. Yeah. So, can you give me the money? Wait, I'll go get my coworker. I wouldn't. That bitch will probably lie her way out of this. He called me a bitch. I hate this guy so much. Okay, so I have my coworker here and beep, he hung up. You know, how annoying as people like this are, you can always get a good laugh out of it. I just know people will say this is fake. Just you wait. Anyways, if you guys want to hear more stories, just let me know. I have plenty like this. Ooh, this is like Tales from Call Centers / Tales from Tech Support too. I like these kinds of stories when they're... I wonder if there was even somebody in the first place that tried to scam him out of this money, or if he was just doing to her what he did to her coworker. Yeah. Probably. That's my guess, my notes. How was your guys' weekend? What did you guys do? As always, I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you got any exciting plans coming up. I know some areas are like moving into like stage 4 of reopening things and stuff like that. So what's going on in your neck of the woods there, my dodes? All right, before I get into the next story, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications for future videos just like this one. This next story is called Update 2. Offered to help my roommate. Now he wants me to pay all his expenses. Posted by user Skellington9270. So here's the update. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Again, on mobile, so sorry for format issues. I also don't know how to link to my original post. After posting this, I decided to cut off the internet. Jack had been texting me that day trying to tell me and my significant other that any and all discussions of the apartment should go through him and no one else. You know, the only person not paying to be there. He hadn't messaged me for over an hour, leaving me on red. Within 5 minutes of me getting off the phone with the internet company, he texts me asking if I had paid the internet, when it's due, and how to reset the router. My significant other called and asked if I had cut off the internet and said yes. Significant other was getting food with their mom for Jill. They get back to the apartment to drop off said food, and Jill asked them if I had cut it off, and significant other said yes, and all three of them were laughing. Jill saying, "Hopefully this will be a wake-up call." She could not have been further from the truth. I never messaged him back and turned off the message notifications so he couldn't see if I read them or not. He blew up my phone. 7 missed calls and multiple messages saying, "I thought we would be civil. That's some petty ass shit, bro." I waited a bit and told him that if he couldn't afford rent, he didn't need internet and that he had no control over my actions. Him saying, "I don't need the electric being arbitrarily turned off based on a decision made entirely on your own." I don't know where he comes up with this shit. Without any notice or sense of decency in discussing with or even notifying us. Like, really, dude? Am I breaking the Geneva Convention by taking away your video games? I'm not mad you turned off the internet, it's that you did it without saying anything. And maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I feel like you avoided even talking about it with me even afterwards. I responded with, "The sense of decency has been entirely absent during this entire process. Breaking the lease is an option. I'm looking at all options that remove my involvement from the apartment. I'm saying that I want out. You don't have control over whether the electric stays on or not. I'm telling you that it will stay on until my name is off the lease. I don't feel the same. I don't think you have tried your best and that everything that I have done has been in my best interest to do so. I absolutely avoided you after disconnecting the internet. I know that you and Jack's friend both were extremely upset, so I gave you time to calm down." These are all snippets of a 5-hour-long conversation, but he went on to talk about human decency and respect. I told him I was fed up, and he got super defensive, saying, "Fed up about what exactly? Me being sick and in incredible pain? Also, Jill was still paying 1/3 until she lost her job. And what would have been better? Potentially paying $1,000 on a lease break while also paying for 2/3 rent so you don't have an eviction notice in an apartment you don't even live in? Or being responsible for 3 out of 3 rent until July?" Apparently, we can add math to things he cannot do. I responded with, "You mean you going to the hospital multiple times a week, begging for pain meds and then checking yourself out when they outright refused? The 20+ showers a day? The constant noise of dry heaving and screaming? Yeah, I was fed up with that. I understand and know that you were in genuine pain, but that takes its toll on everyone, not just you. If I knew that it would take you more than 2 months to get a job, I would have broken it when I moved out. Pay between $756 to $1,256 and be done. If I had stayed, it would have been $3,800 before bills. Or what were you expecting where we pay 2/3 until the end of the lease? That's $2,560 plus whatever you can't cover. The cheapest route was, and still is, breaking the lease. But that would be inhumane. 1. I have already told you that I was exploring any and every possible avenue for getting my name off the lease. 2. You didn't and don't need to know about it. 3. It only takes one signature from one resident to break it. I feel like you acting like this is affecting others and that you don't care. Jack, between you and Jill and your friend, you had at minimum $2,400 3 weeks ago, and 2 of you have jobs. How did you all spend more than $2,000 in less than a month? This whole scenario has taken its toll on you, me, Jill, my significant other, my significant other's mom, my dad, probably even your friend too. I know that it isn't just me and significant other, but it seems like we're the only ones who are going to care about this. He blew up, saying, I do need to know about it because it would make me homeless. Case in point of not considering others. I even tried helping the kid, asking if I did break the lease, would it be my fault? A bit back and forth of him saying it would absolutely be my fault, and a horrible thing to do. No human decency, the whole 9. Ending with, well, I suppose it is my fault that I didn't know that it only took one person to break a lease that had 2 signers on it, and I sincerely mean that. I told him that it was crazy how he will pull the pin and jump on every grenade he can to cry victim and to have a nice night. Of course, he had to get the last words in by quoting some of my texts at me, and I left it alone. The next day, I talked to the leasing office and explained everything again. The night before they had $500 to put towards rent, but now they only had $320. It costs $175 to open up a new internet account with shitty credit around here, and I guess $5 for a Happy Meal. I told the office that. She laughed. I told her that any and all money was coming from them alone. If they were behind or not paying, to let me know and that I'd be breaking a lease. I also typed up a legal notice stating that under no circumstances would I renew or open up a new lease there in the next 12 months because I guarantee Dirtbag would do that to me. I haven't heard from him since. Since then, Jill has gotten a second job and Jack has an interview today to try to get on at Jill's second job. Of course, because he has to be stuck up Jill's ass constantly. It only took him 3 months since he's gotten better to get a job. Jill has come over a few times to get away from Jack and told me Jack was trying to psych up Jack's friend to come and meet with me man to man. The night all of that went down. Or more like man and man to man. That's the end of this series. In the end, the Shire was fine and Bilbo and Frodo floated off with the elves and all was happy in Middle-earth. The end. Oh, these ones are the worst when they're like I've read a lot of these lately where people are stuck living with people that just mooch off of you. That would drive me insane. Like really insane. I like my independence. I like, yeah, it's just too much. This guy would have my foot in his ass, but it kind of does sound like perhaps there's a little bit of substance abuse perhaps going on. Yeah, that's depending on the severity. It can totally take over someone's life. I can see that, but who knows? Or maybe this guy's just a piece of shit. Never know. All right, my dudes, I've got one more r/ChoosingBeggars story for you guys today. This one is called, But If You Don't Donate, Then I Might Not Get a Third Spare Room. Posted by user 3 Hour Baths. One of my former friends had a family loss and inherited a house. She spent hours every day complaining on social media that she couldn't empty the house. People sent suggestions of companies which could help her. I can't afford to pay them. They volunteered their time, but then she didn't want the house cleared the easy way. She wanted every last item sent to someone somewhere, including out-of-date prescription medicines. She advertised a GoFundMe all day, every day to pay for her living costs, not for actual help. This was all to be volunteers. We sent her suggestions of how she might be able to secure some credit against the estate or get a loan from the charity to help her. And here's where we finally get to the bottom of her thinking. But if I have to pay some money from the estate to deal with the estate, then when I sell the house, I'll not be able to afford somewhere with a 4th bedroom anymore. I was floored. She wanted donations from everyone so that she didn't have to consider downsizing to a free and clear 3-bedroom house from a free and clear 4-bedroom house. She's a single person, so that's 3 spare bedrooms coming out of everyone else's pockets. Meanwhile, other people inherit big problems or cannot afford to bury their parents, and she's wanting donations off the back of her bereavement to pay for more luxury. She continued using emotional manipulation every day on social media. I know that nobody cares if I live or die, but please donate so I don't have to hurt myself. To keep the money coming in. I think that, oh, fucking hell. Jesus. Thousands and thousands in donations. About 6 months of free volunteer work, all to pay for her to have a bigger house at the end of it. And she still thinks it's perfectly logical as how could we possibly expect her to pay the money out of the sale of the house and have to shop for a house she can afford. I'm not going to actively rag on someone during the bereavement process. I can express my annoyance now as it's a good number of years ago this all happened. And she's still at it. She's using the, you can't say anything bad to me ever about anything because my parents are dead card. Most people's parents die. It's a thing that happens when you grow up. I just stopped responding to anything and I have her blocked now. Meanwhile, we cleared a relative's house ourselves, paid all the expenses on it, and came out with basically nothing. And I sent that cow some of my money before I found out. Oh, that's so gross. This kind of hits home for me because, like they said, like some people have to deal with a lot of headaches when one of their parents dies. Like when my dad passed away, he didn't have a will. And the only money that he had in his estate wasn't even in his estate. It was in like a death benefit insurance policy that he had. And he signed that over to his girlfriend at the time. So she got all the money, I got all the expenses after. Luckily, I was lucky enough to have a family to help me out with the cremation expenses and things like that. But like, it's fucked, man. Like I had to, I had to get a lawyer to put his motorcycles in my name. Like I had to pay all this money, and here's this bitch getting shit for free, wanting more free shit. Like, how about you just grieve for the loss of your family instead of worrying about having a house that's too fucking big for you because nobody wants to be around you anyway? How are you gonna fill those rooms, Karen? I'm a little bitter. I'll just say I'm a little bit bitter. Yeah, it's a beautiful day outside, my toads. I think I'm gonna go and actually visit my own parents later, so that's a plus. I hear it's supposed to thunderstorm, so I'm hoping that will stay off a little bit. And you guys are like, yeah, fucking don't care, Lorna. Let's get on to the stories. So this one was posted by Shadowwing07. It was originally posted in r/entitled people, but they have shared it to r/Reddit fairies. So let's get into it. This one is called Entitled Aunt at Christmas. If this doesn't belong here, just let me know and I'll move it to the correct sub. Edit. I am aware this could go in Entitled Parents, but I don't have the karma to post there. So I have an aunt, Entitled Aunt, whom I just realized was entitled, when it comes to her kids and grandkids anyway. As well as my grandmother, her mom. She's a sour peach at times. I only tolerate her because she's family and she doesn't come around a lot due to how far away she lives. Anyway, on to the story. But first your cast. Entitled Aunt, Uncle, doesn't play a big part. Me, little brother, entitled granddaughter of entitled aunt, grandma/entitled aunt's mom, my dad, entitled aunt's brother. Now the story. It was Christmas Day 2016, I think. We had yet to do the gift exchange. At the time, we drew names and only bought for the grade school age kids, 5 to 12. We had finished our Christmas lunch and were just visiting while waiting for a few people to arrive. While doing so, my entitled aunt gets up from the table and makes her way into the living room and yells for Uncle. What, entitled aunt? Can't you see I'm talking? He said, clearly not happy with her. I know, but get entitled granddaughter's gifts from the bedroom now so she can open them while we wait, she said, as if it was the best idea she'd ever had. He stared at her like she was insane. Entitled aunt, we agreed to wait until everyone had left to give those to her, he said, crossing his arms. Then no one will see her open them but us? She whined. Entitled granddaughter had plopped her butt on the floor in front of the TV stand, smiling like the Cheshire Cat. Please, Uncle, she said, batting her eyes at him and pretending to be on the verge of tears when he shook his head. He held out for about 10 minutes before Entitled Aunt started whining that he didn't care about either of them. Fed up with her and Entitled Granddaughter, he caved. He carried the presents out as Entitled Aunt yelled for all the kids. My grandma had made her way in and was in her chair by this point. We filled in, thinking they were going to hand out the gifts for us kids. The people we were waiting for had arrived by this point. We sat and were surprised when Entitled Granddaughter was surrounded by like 20 presents. We waited eagerly for our presents, but it was not to be, sadly. Before we give you your presents, Entitled Granddaughter is going to open her presents from Uncle and myself. She actually thought we wanted to watch this brat flaunt what she got. Hint, none of us did, but anytime someone tried to leave, she noticed. My little cousins tried to leave, and she told them if they left, they would get in trouble for being disrespectful to her family. So they silently sat back down. The next to move was little brother. Where do you think you're going, little brother? She said, frowning as she stood. Bathroom, he said simply and walked out, not waiting for her to reply. Entitled Aunt, the kids are allowed to leave the room. Entitled Aunt fumed, silently pouting. I stayed a little longer before I got up to leave as Entitled Granddaughter happily flaunted her new stuff. Oh, Pete, where are you going? You need to stay and watch to the end, she said, staring at me like I'd just offended her ancestors by daring to stand. I need a drink, Entitled Aunt. All right, and send little brother back. He's missing this. I nodded and left. I didn't return to the room, nor did I send little brother back in. Soon, Entitled Granddaughter had finished opening her presents, and we had to wait as she toted all the stuff out to Entitled Aunt and Uncle's vehicle as they were her ride. When they were done, my parents confronted Entitled Aunt. Entitled Aunt, why were you making my kids watch Entitled Granddaughter open all her presents? I was cut off by Dad. Don't say they enjoyed watching her open her presents, because they didn't. She got lots of presents while they only got 6 at most. He was not happy with his sister. You should have waited until everyone left or taken them to Entitled Granddaughter's house on your way home. Why should I have waited so long? It's Christmas and it's about family, so I thought it was only fair, she said, trying to justify her actions. Needless to say, no one was happy, and it was decided that she couldn't do that anymore, as it was incredibly unfair to everyone. Sorry, it's not so dramatic as some stories here. She did other things that day and many other days, but this is the craziest she's pulled while I was present. This is long enough, I think, but I can post more stories about my entitled aunt, her entitled granddaughter, and entitled aunt's entitled son, entitled granddaughter's dad. Just let me know if you want to read more about my entitled aunt and her family. Just a note, Uncle is not entitled. He's just been around them for so long, he's just tired of fighting with them, so he just gives in after a time. I don't know how he does it, honestly. I would lose my shit if she tried to pull this shit on me. I had an aunt that kind of tried to pull this shit on me when I was a kid. But, you know, I grew up and got some lady balls. But I remember when my mom got married to my stepdad when I was like 6 years old. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't understand. I was a kid, right? I just thought there was a party happening at my house. But I was hungry and I was like, I want some food. I'm hungry. Let me have some food, Auntie. But apparently, I don't really remember. I just remember being hungry. I don't remember my surroundings. I just remember my aunt yelling at me and telling me to shush. I'm like, well, just give me some food and I will shush, ma'am. I was a good kid. I was a quiet kid. So if I spoke out for something, I really, really needed to. I was like starving at that point. So you can't starve a kid, man. We don't talk to this aunt anymore. I definitely do want to hear some more stories. Shadowing 07. One thing though, if you have so many people in a story, oh, just type out the name, please. It gets really confusing and tongue twistery. Just saying, just a little suggestion. You might have suggestions for me. I will kindly take them to mind. All right, my little gremlins. This next story was posted also in r/Reddit Perry subreddit. Reddit Perry subreddit. I just had the urge to do that. I'm sorry. This one is called "My Uncle Tries to Negotiate / Steal Phones from My House." Posted by user SCrusher88. So recently, my uncle broke his phone and was forcefully upgraded to an iPhone 6 Plus, as that was the only spare phone my auntie had. But as he has been using Samsung for a really long time, he can't understand how Apple works. So yesterday, as he was over for a visit, as my dad has been going through radiotherapy, he asked if we have any spare phones. I had my iPhone XR as a spare, as I was using my iPhone 7 as a calling phone and my iPhone 6 as a mobile gaming device. His face cringed at the sight of my iPhone XR, but his eyes twinkled at the sight of my mom's slightly spoiled Samsung S9. He told me to let him see the phone as he tried to play around with the phone. Once he saw why my mom had to use her spare phone, screen too bright and turned greenish, he saw my dad's phone and said this: "Man, your dad doesn't need his phone since he's now disabled." My dad was in the room when he said that, and I knew my dad had a wave of anger that will last over a few weeks. So I just said, "My dad still needs his phone. His checkups are updated through his phone and his friends still contact him, so you can't have his phone." End of discussion. Luckily, my mom was around when he asked about the phones, but he did try to complain to her today. My mom just told him, "You want a new phone? Then sign up for a proper line with my country 3 known phone carriers. Then you can get a new phone every 21 months. Jeez, that's fucking harsh. Like being disabled doesn't mean that you are completely non-functioning, like you're not still a member of society. Like, what the fuck? Why would anybody say that for, like, what? Oh my god, this is gross. Like, it just dry heaved a little bit. And this again reminds me of what I dealt with my dad when my dad passed away. Just before he passed away, actually, a bunch of people, including his girlfriend especially, were stressing him out about what's going to happen to his things after, he passed. And it's like, why are you so focused on that? Worry about that. Like, the only thing he should have worried about was getting a will. She should have pushed him to do that. But instead, she was more concerned with, oh, we better go to your storage and get, seal that off so these people don't get to it and things like that. Like, no, make a will and you don't have to do all that shit. Hello? Sure, I don't like Linda. Just stay away from me. That's all I'm going to say. All right, my little deuterinos, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, maybe, consider smashing that subscribe button and maybe the like button as well. Don't forget to turn on all notifications for future videos just like this one. As always, the links to these stories will be in the description below, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it, my dudes. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.